welcome back to Movie Review Mom. And if you've never been here before, welcome and please subscribe. I really appreciate it. And if you're new to my little Movie Review Mom YouTube channel, let me just give you the heads up on my big goal. And that is simply to provide parents and families with the information about the content of the movies that I review so that you can make your own decision and decide if it's right for you and your family. So with that, let me tell you about today's movie. It is called Enola Holmes. It is rated PG-13. It's 2 hours and 3 minutes, and it is now streaming on Netflix. I'll give you my grade at the very end. So first, let me explain kind of everything in a nutshell. I'll point out things I liked and didn't, as well as tips for parents and some themes that are worth talking about if you watch this with your family. So first of all, this is a very charming coming of age adventure movie, and it was actually acquired by Netflix shortly after the pandemic hit, at least in the United States, in April. I mean, I know it hit in March, but they acquired the rights to this movie in April. It's based on the Nancy Springer book series called The Enola Holmes Mysteries. Now, if you enjoy playing Scrabble or solving mysteries, then I think you're really going to get a kick out of watching Enola Holmes, who is the sister of Sherlock Holmes, solve some mysteries, two of them, in fact, with her special gift of unscrambling ciphers. It's directed by Harry Bradbeer and written by Jack Thorne. However, the movie comes with a warning that I want to tell you about. There is a lot of social justice warrior messaging. And so for some viewers, that's just going to kill the fun of the journey. Feminism is a very big theme in this movie, as the movie is set in England around 1918, 1919, right around when the suffrage movement was taking place in England, right before women got the right to vote. So the movie is timely in that regard, that the message is also the importance of voting, but also women's female empowerment. So just a heads up on that. So some other tips for parents are that there is some profanity, but not a whole lot. There is some violence, fist fighting and that kind of thing, mostly. There are people in perilous situations, and there are some attempts at murder. Now, some themes worth talking about are, here's a line by Mrs. Holmes, Sherlock's and the protagonist of the story's mother, played by Helena Bonham Carter, who's fantastic. Anyway, she says, there are two paths you can choose, yours or the one others choose for you. So again, that has to do with choices, choosing your own path, finding your own path, figuring out who you are and that kind of stuff. Other themes are respect, family, tradition, power, control over others, what you're prepared to risk for what you believe truly matters, finding your own purpose. And another quote that the mom says is, being alone doesn't mean you have to be lonely. And then another line told by Enola, where she says, the future is up to us. And again, certainly that's very timely, at least here in America, where we've got a presidential election just around the corner. Now, some things that I really like are many, and the list starts off with the fantastic Millie Bobby Brown. She's absolutely perfect as the spunky Enola Holmes. She actually earned a Primetime Emmy Award nomination for her role as an outstanding supporting actress for her role in the TV series Stranger Things. She was only 13 years old. She's also the youngest person ever to be featured on the Time 100 list. That's super impressive. Needless to say, she's talented and truly a delight to watch in this movie. She's actually deaf in one ear, but you would never know that. I mean, I didn't know that by watching her performance for sure. And growing up, she actually had boxing lessons. So she has some action sequences, and they're believable because she's got some physicality to her and obviously some training behind her. Now, Enola, the character that she plays, breaks what's called the fourth wall. In other words, she talks to the audience. Now, some people are annoyed by that, but I find that to be very endearing. And in fact, it reminded me a little bit of Matthew Broderick's performance in a movie I loved. It's an old one from many years ago called Lady Hawk. If you've never seen that, add that to your list. It's very different in tone and style and theme and topic and all of that, but it does have that fourth wall broken by a very likable character who carries the story along. I really love that movie. Now, some critics have also complained that Millie Bobby Brown overacts in the movie. But again, that's just kind of the basic, one of the basic elements of this storytelling. And I thought it was actually really cute. Now, I mentioned Helena Bonham Carter. She is such a talented treasure. And another movie where she plays an unconventional but very loving mother is the fun and quirky movie called The Young and Prodigious T.S. Spivet. I actually just discovered it on Amazon Prime the other night. And I think, how did I miss that? My husband and I really got a kick out of that. So add that one to your queue as well. It's just a sweet little gem. The exuberant musical score by Daniel Pemberton is spirited in all the right ways and really supports the energy of the movie. Now, I also adore both of the leading men, Henry Cavill and Sam Claflin. Sadly, there's been some controversy and a lawsuit involving the trust of Sir Arthur Conan Doyle, author of Sherlock Holmes, and Henry Cavill's empathetic version of Sherlock Holmes. They say it damages the source material and the reputation of the character. And that just sounds so British and kind of is like the opposite of the message of this movie. But anyway, I heard that some of Henry Cavill's lines were cut from the movie, which is disappointing because I love him. I just love his smolder. And while he's not in a lot of scenes, he's there, and I'm happy whenever he is because I just think he's really great. I mean, Superman, hello. Now, if the train looks familiar, it's because it's the same make and model that was used in all of the Harry Potter movies. So that's kind of fun. And if you're a fan of Harry Potter and all of those films, and who isn't, you're really going to be thrilled to see three cast members reunited. Helena Bonham Carter, of course, Fiona Shaw, and Frances de la Tour. And I love all three women. They're all excellent. And speaking of other movies, there's one of those Pretty Woman movie moments where, you're not good enough to shop in this store type of scenes that just kind of made me laugh. The movie moves at a brisk pace, providing energy throughout the entire film. Really, I thought the pacing was pretty good. Some critics have said they thought it slowed in the middle. I was still entertained throughout the whole movie. And if you do enjoy the movie, you'll be happy that it ends with a little hint of a sequel. And I think a sequel would be fun because these characters are so lovable, really all of them. And then finally, the movie has fantastic production quality with great costumes, set designs, cinematography, really the whole thing. It's just a really well-made movie. Now, there were a few things that I didn't like. And as I mentioned, the movie has a very strong feminist message and it gets very preachy. For example, Enola's mother counsels her, don't be thrown off by other people, especially men. Dun, 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 evil men. Now, I have 4 sons and, of course, a husband. Men are wonderful. Of course, they can be terrible. Not mine, of course, but men out there can be terrible. But the movie really kind of trumps on how horrible they all are. So it definitely reveals the writers and the directors' political views, or at least their attempts to jump on the female empowerment platform that seems to appear in almost every movie nowadays. Some viewers will be very tired of that, and it will ruin the viewing because of that. And others will just say, whatever, it's fine. And of course, some women will just think it's the greatest movie ever. Some viewers are also upset that the story is vastly different from the BBC series of Sherlock Holmes from 2010 and the source material. And it is very different, but I don't know that it ever was intended to really share the same world as those characters in those films. Only the last name of Sherlock Holmes. He's recognized in this movie. He's famous in this movie. So time has passed since he began his career. But this is not Sherlock Holmes's movie at all. It is absolutely Enola's in every way. And then some viewers are getting their knickers in a twist because of all the historical inaccuracies. Again, just don't overthink it. It's a kind of a female empowerment twist on how England would have been at the time. And so, just relax, just chill. It's also pretty predictable, and it doesn't really take a whole lot of risks other than changing the nature of the Sherlock Holmes character that we've come to know in other movies. Now, if you like historical dramatic movies of that time period, I would suggest the movie called Suffragette. It's very dramatic. The tone is very different from this movie, but you can kind of see how things might have been more accurately portrayed in that movie. And then some critics have complained that this movie is just too long, a little over 2 hours. And while I enjoyed every minute, I do admit that there were a couple of times where I thought I was seeing the end of the movie, only to then have another scene unfold. And I wasn't disappointed. I was just like, oh, yeah, that's true. We haven't wrapped up that little part of the storyline. And so, then I kept watching. Anyway, as you can tell, I enjoyed the movie. And so the movie review mom grade I'm giving it is an A minus. So there you go. Now, be sure and run over to moviereviewmom.com, and you can read a bunch of other lines that I wrote down that I thought were significant or insightful. And I also have some links to some of these things. Again, thanks so much for your time. I hope you enjoy this movie, and I'll catch you in the next one. Bye for now.